Hugo Silva, who led Portugal to win the 2018 FIVB Challenger event to qualify for this tournament. They're trying to remain in it now. Iran, with the help of these passionate fans, are trying to get to the final 6. Top of the standings on a 5-match winning streak, and here on home soil in major world level competitions, a 7-match winning streak. This one does seem a formality on paper, but upsets have been fairly commonplace throughout the history of this tournament. Portugal looking to cause one of the biggest here this evening. They will start on serve with their setter Miguel Tavares. And he serves straight into the net. Aliashkar Mohamed to serve first for Iran. Plays here in Iran with the champions, Shardari Varamin. And here we go, the first rally greeted by a huge cheer from these fans, a cheer that quickly comes to an end, thanks to the contribution of Bruno Cunha, who gets Portugal on the board. Alex Ferreira, one of Portugal's star players. His brother Marco Ferreira is on the bench to start this one. They're the two big hitters for Portugal. The two head coaches have made a few surprise changes to the lineup, and this is one of them. Poya Yali, the 20-year-old, getting a start for Iran. Big hit from the backcourt, but Ferreira is shut down by the Iranian block. There was a big gap to be exploited. They did ever so well, though, to angle their arms in to close the gap. Back set Maruf into the net, pops up off the net for Poya Yali, but a Portuguese point. Martins to serve for Portugal now. Maruf back set, big backcourt attack from Ibadipur. Brings a huge roar from this Iranian crowd. This building is rocking already. Fayazi to serve, closing in on the 100-point mark for the competition, including a team-high 11 aces. Portugal deal with his serve well this time and come back to score the point through Kike Ferreira da Silva. Maruf with the back set as well. He just runs the offense so well. Able to pick out all of those offensive weapons for Iran. Knows where everybody is and puts it on a plate for them. Poya Yali gets the score. That one deflected off the block and out of bounds on the near side via Kike, who's got a couple. 33-year-old wing spiker, but he only had 18 international caps to his name heading into this competition. He's on serve now. There's a fault at the net. It's an Iranian point. Serve too long from the captain, Saeed Marouf. More running sets in the competition than anybody else. He really is one to keep an eye on. The way he passes the ball. And, he's able to pick players out from any position on court. Here he is now, setting to the far side. And they get the point as it deflects out of bounds off the block. Marouf's experience as well, so vital in terms of helping the young players in this lineup. The 21-year-old Mohamed, the 20-year-old Yali. Oh, big time double block for Iran, and it is Mohamed, the other youngster. Shutting down the Portuguese offense. No way through for Bruno Cunha. They ran up by 3 at the technical timeout. This is pretty much as we expected from the start. Portugal doing their very best. Iran just too strong, powerful in the block. Some really good attack hits as well. And this is even with 2 of their big superstars on the bench. Iran. Sayed Mohamed Mousavi, the best blocker in the tournament, is on the bench alongside Amir Ghafour, Iran's top scorer. Only 2 players have scored more points in the tournament than him. No need for them just yet. Badipour's serve into the net. Portugal back within 2. Tavares to serve. Dug out by Badipour and returned with interest. Badipour showing his defensive prowess. Iran's 4th top scorer, but also the 7th best receiver and the 8th best digger in the whole competition. That allowed Marouf to set for one of his big hitters. Squeeze inside of the block, Sharifi helped it up, but emphatically Bruno Cunha helped it back down. Stopping that one from Portugal's number 11. Alex Ferreira. Marouf to the far side, tipped over the top of the block, stretching to get there and keep it up was Tavares. Back against the block for another Portuguese point, and they're back within 1. They're determined to show they're not here just to make up the numbers. To bounce off the left hand of Fayazi. Ferreira's serve into the net. Yali next up. He's done well coming in on this near side so far, Kaike. It's 3 points already for Portugal's number 13. There's a challenge though from Iran here. 10-8 is their lead as it stands. If this is overturned, they'll be up 11-7. That would be significant breathing room. Kanike and Bruno Cunha with 3 points each for Portugal of their 8. Yali, the youngster for Iran, leads them with 4. Players facing a bit of a wait to find out whose point this is. Coaches too. Service line fault is the graphic we're seeing, but we're looking at whether the ball was in or out. But it looks like it is going to be a Portuguese point. So 10-8, 10-9 in fact to Iran. Yali again against a big red wall, 3 of them sewn tightly together, and Portugal are level. Iran's top scorer so far couldn't find a gap. Philippe Martins to serve next. Drilled across court to the back corner. Point for Perya Fayazi. He can only serve into the net. He's been Iran's best server across this competition so far, averaging 0.33 aces per set, but not that time. Cunha, 3 points already on serve now. Another very talented young hitter, just 21. Tipped over from the backcourt, helped up, off the net and off the floor. And Marouf with a moment of magic. The setter turns into the scorer. And he's so good at doing that. Recognising the defence was downed, and he took full advantage. Always seems to know where all of the open spots are on the court. We are having a challenge to that point from the Portuguese bench. Ran ahead 12-11 as it stands. Was there a net touch? Oh, there may well have been. It looks like it. The left hand of Marouf, so that will be a Portuguese point instead. Rare error from Saeed Marouf. Portugal lead 12-11. Kept up really well by Gil Pereira. And then it landed back down on the Portuguese side of the net. And they were threadbare on that side of the floor. Nobody in that front position on the right side. Shafai serve. Backcourt attack, far side against the block that was penetrating the net so well. Harrid was getting across to help out Abadipour, who got the final touch. I think it was Abadipour. Another one for Kike Ferreira. That is 6 for him now. 5 of them off attack hits. He's been very impressive so far for somebody of his stature. Only 1 meter 91 centimeters tall. The batty ball drills it. Too hot to handle for Gil Pereira. Marouf serve. Twisting back set was beautiful and put it right on top of the net. Portugal are keeping up with the standings leaders over the first 28 points here. Filip Svetkanin with the score. He's on serve now as well. Celebrated his 23rd birthday yesterday. Tandem attack, isolated attacking position, but the blocker, Alex Ferreira, comes out on top. And Portugal lead 1 point away from the technical timeout. Svetkanin serve. Marouf to set right on top of the net. Yali scores for the first time in a while. He's up to 5 points. The next point will take us into the technical timeout when the leading team hits 16 points. Milady Badipor to serve for Iran. Really powerful serve. Forces the poor serve reception. Iran trying to take advantage. Yali stopped though. That's too high over the net. Marouf can set. Plenty of options available. Stretching and just about getting there was Fayazi. He'll come again off the top of the block. Tremendous rally this one. Rally of the match so far. And perhaps the player of the match so far finishes it off. Kike up to 7 points. And Portugal lead Iran at the technical timeout towards the end of set 1. That was fantastic. Kike was behind the serve and botched it. But boy, did he recover. That one caught a piece of the triple block. That was another Shaq pass. They had a Shaq serve reception, a Shaq pass. Iran still couldn't take advantage though. Kike waiting in the backcourt, eventually got his chance, picked his moment to pounce and buried it. Coach Igor Kalakovic's team need to bounce back off the back of this technical timeout. Portugal are riding a wave of momentum right now with Miguel Tavares on serve. Setting right on top of the net, the block out of bounds off the hit from Poye Yali. Iran led by 3 at the first technical timeout, trailed by 1 at the second. Big Portuguese push. Now there's nothing to separate the two. Got fingertips off the Iranian block. So it's a Portuguese point. Difficult to see on that replay. It's so fast, but no protests from Iran. And that's in as well, right to the back corner. Portugal up by 2 against the standings leaders. And it will force a timeout from Igor Kalakovic. Alex with an ace. Said they needed to bounce back after the technical timeout. They didn't. Portugal have maintained their momentum. How can their team find a response? It's a long way to go in this match, but if they were to lose this first set, it would put Iran in a difficult position. Deficit halved, the wayward serve from Alex Ferreira, well beyond the baseline. Six points so far for Poyeyali. All of them from attack kits. Iran are yet to win a point on serve. Portugal have won just the one. The officials are in communication about something here. Here comes Yali's serve. Another one for Kaike. He's got 8 points. And Portugal lead by 2. He's not just one of the smallest wing spikers, he's one of the smallest non-liberos that will take to the court here this weekend. Maroof tipped over the top, Iran responds. Okay, he's certainly showing he's here to play though. And Iran need to do the same. So yeah, Feyazi to serve. A bullet back to Kaike, who fielded it well, comes back to hit it against the block, which just lands in on the far sideline. Iran level. And Kaike finally shut down. Not like the man in the middle, Aliashkar Moharid. Kaike, it's too long on the serve reception, a chance for Iran to get ahead, and they do with a touch off the block. Milani Banipur, 3 straight points for Iran. They're back in the driver's seat here in set 1. There is a challenge coming as to whether there was a block touch or not. It looked to me like there was. It looked to the official like there was. Portugal may just be trying to slow the momentum. Now, hang on, they've given the point to Portugal. So in fact, it's an Iranian challenge to say there was a block touch, and I'm sure there was. Iran was short, and he was short, Igor Kalakovic. It looked like the point had been given to Iran at first and then overturned. And there is clearly a block touch. So the initial call of the first referee was correct. It was an Iranian point. And we're going to have a Portuguese timeout off the back of that. Iran up 20-19 here in the first set. This is a Portuguese team really giving its all against an Iranian team that's won 11 of their last 12 Nations League matches. The only exception being the 3-2 defeat to Brazil back on match day 4. They really are at the top of their game right now. And Portugal are having to dig deep just to try and stay with them. Fayazi with a ferocious hit back to Kaike. They dealt with it for now. It'll come back at them. Did it get a touch? The official says yes. Once again, Portugal say no. You would expect Iran to clean up after that serve. They think they have done. But it's not quite clear just yet. The hit was a long way beyond the baseline, so it was either a big miscalculation or there was a block touch, and that was the first call of the official, that it caught a fingertip of one of the Portuguese players. This would put his team in a very good position. If it's overturned, we would be level at 20-20. Wow. It was close, but there wasn't a touch. So it's a Portuguese point. 20-20. Portuguese serve with Bruno Cunha. And it almost found the corner. Maybe even it did. They're thinking about challenging again. Let's have a look here. Looks like that could have crept in. Difficult to tell just off the corner of the monitor that I'm looking on. They've just been successful on the Portuguese bench with a challenge. They're hoping for back-to-back successes in that regard. And that would give them the lead, with the finish line in sight in this first set. This is some performance early on from Portugal. Face some weight to find out if they've got the lead. They have got the lead. It was in. Portugal ahead, 21-20, 4 points away from taking the first set. Bruno Cunha to serve. And what an ace it was. Alex Ferreira helps it across. Just about over from Kaike. It'll come back on this near side, but a Portuguese point from the far side to the opposite flank. A stretch and a miss, and a miscalculation from Maruf. They're not quite in sync at the moment. Setter and hitters for Iran. They're down by 2 at a critical stage of the opening set. Timeout. Portuguese team who've lost 5 of their 9 matches in straight sets so far. 6 of their 9 matches have been decided in straight sets. They won 1 and lost 5. And they are 3 points away from taking a set off leaders Iran, taking the leads on Iranian soil. Maruf, this time the set was perfect, on hand to his closest option. And it didn't give the Portuguese defense any time to settle. Ali Shafai getting Iran back within 1. He's on serve now, the 27-year-old middle blocker. Hugo Silva, the Portuguese coach, hoping his team can see this through. They've got themselves in such a good position. Kaike deflected to the far side, helped up. Across to the near side, the touch into the block. Iranian score, look what it means. Masoud Gholami in off the bench. Did just about enough with the block forming. He touched it against them. The left hand of Kaike carries the ball out of bounds. Iran level, 22-22. Timeout Portugal.
Tem sempre o gajo que se pouco oscilar, aí faz uma aula.
This first set is going right down to the wire. The relief that poured out of those Iranian players after winning that last point tells you how much they've been pushed by Portugal here. I'm sure they will continue to be pushed right to the brink in this opening set. Shafai's serve. Kaike behind it, too long on the reception though. Far side, Ibanipour off the block. Iran ahead from 2 down, right at the end of the first set they lead. 3 straight points. And at the perfect point to get them. Ferye Fayazi's pass. The finish from Milan Ibanipour. Shafai's run on serve, helping to do the damage to Portugal. This time the reception right back on top of the net, and what a clever and clinical finish that was. A disguised set leading to the score, and nothing to separate these two, both just 2 points away from the magical 25-point mark. Portugal's top scorer, and indeed the top scorer in the match so far, Kaike on serve, 8 points so far for him. Maruf set, tandem attack coming in near side. Yali had the defensive door slammed in his face by the Portuguese block. The first set point of the match goes to Portugal. Maruf can set, far side, it got a touch, did it? No. It's a Portuguese point, it's a Portuguese set. It's a huge blow for Iran, who've won 5 straight in this tournament. If they're to continue that run, they'll have to come from behind against a Portuguese team battling to avoid relegation. This building has been shaking since well before the opening serve And now they've had their belief shaken by a brilliant Portuguese performance. A 25-23 first set to Portugal here in Iran. Despite one less point on block and on spikes, they had 2-0 on serve and 2 more points off errors of their opponents. That was enough to win the set by 2. And after Iran had built momentum and come from 2 down to lead 23-22, 3 in a row for Portugal to take them to victory. Iran are going to have to come from behind to continue what is a run of 5 straight wins in this competition and 7 straight wins at world level major events on Iranian soil. The host led by the 6 points of Poya Yali, but he was shut down right at the end of that first set by a big Portuguese block. They've had 5 from Ibadipur, 4 from Shafai, but 8 points from Kike Ferreira da Silva leading the way for Portugal. All 6 of Yali's points coming from attack hits. 20-year-old having to shake off the disappointment though of being rejected when it mattered the most, right at the death of set 1. Part of the steep learning curve. And in part paying the price for not starting their top scorer, Amir Ghafour, and their top blocker, Sayed Mohamed Musavi. How about the performance of the 33-year-old Kike Ferreira da Silva? Stands at just 1.91 m, which is short for a wing spiker at this level. 8 points, 7 from attack hits, and 1 block as well. Portugal pick up right where they left off. They get the first point of set 2. To bounce off Poya Yali. Maruf setting right on top of the net, around level. Serve off the mark, so Portugal ahead 2-1 at the start of the second set. First set went the distance, lasted 34 minutes, the longest set on this court so far. It was a relatively quick matchup earlier between the other 2 teams in the pool, France and Australia. France winning in straight sets. The longest set in that one, I believe, was 26 minutes, if I remember rightly. Really well ducked from Ibadipur. 2-2. Kai rejected. And then not recovered in the backcourt down the line. Saeed Maroof off his left hand. He does a bit of everything, the setter. Fayazi beaten on this near side though. Bruno Cunha up to 5 points. It's not just been about Kai. Bruno Cunha and Alex Ferreira each with 5 now. Backcourt here. Yali stops in the backcourt. And then all the way through goes Bruno Cunha. Portugal showing that that first set was far from a fluke. Philippe Martins with the serve, had to be helped up and didn't get anywhere near the net. Over by Fayazi. Portugal a chance to get on top in the rally. Not the best position for them though. They didn't make the most of the opportunity. After Iran struggled to deal with the serve, they're able to come back and get the point. Oh yeah, Fayazi getting his arms over the top of the net and angling down and then emoting. And then failing with the serve straight into the net. Really good serve from Bruno Cunha. Ibanipor had it blocked against his body. It looked like it was going to land out of bounds, but it came back and hit Ibanipor. So Portugal lead by 2, heading towards the technical timeout. Tremendous serve to get the rally started from Bruno Cunha. Certainly was going to be out, but it not hit the body of the Iranian player. And that was out beyond the baseline. Iran just can't get it together at the moment. Ali Shafai with the miss hit. Nothing wrong with the set. That's just beyond the baseline, although Portugal is saying it caught a piece off the line. They are going to challenge. It looked long to me on first viewing, but first views can be deceiving. It was in. It was right on the baseline. Would you believe it? Portugal lead by 4 at the first technical timeout of the second set, having won the first set 25-23. Iran have been rocked. Sure, Portugal would have been encouraged when they saw Amir Ghafour and Sayed Mohamed Mousavi on the Iranian bench, not in the starting lineup today, but I'm sure they wouldn't have expected to be in this position. I don't think anyone expected this scoreline at the moment. There's still a long way to go though. A lot of time for Iran to turn it around. If you're new to the sport, it is best of 5 sets. that Bruno Cunha is putting together. Two aces now for Bruno. There's a point back for Iran from Poyeyali. 7th attack hits in the match. Caught a piece of Kaikei at the net. Shafai's serve. Into the net. 4-point safety net for Portugal again. Okay, on serve. Maruf right on top of the net. Fayazi with a fizzler. Buried at the feet of Kaikei. Over the top of the triple block that was on its way down. What a clever finish from Cunha. 3 Iranian blockers getting together, getting up in the air, looking to penetrate. Just that hesitation. Waiting for it to land and drop on its way down and hitting the ball low in its flight off the set. Bruno Cunha able to loop over the top of the triple block. And Iran responds, and the lead is alternating between 4 and 3 points. Bruno Cunha's level with Kaikei now on 8 points. 2 players for Portugal having fantastic performances. Can they keep it up? That's the big question. Kaikei behind that serve. On the far side, saved by Alex Ferreira. The rally will continue, but Iran on the front foot, and they get the point. They've had to go to the bench and call on Amir Ghafour, their talismanic scorer. And he's in with a bang. Third top scorer in the tournament with 151 points over the first 3 weeks of competition. The second best spike rate in the competition at 56.3%. He's there as part of that block as well, alongside Ali Ashgar Moharid. Amir Ghafour, the spark to spark Iran back into life. No doubt it's a Moharid point on that occasion, but Ghafour was with him and has come off the bench. And there's signs of a momentum shift. Timeout called by Portugal to try and put the brakes on that momentum shift. What an occasion for these supporters who have turned out in their numbers for the second week in a row in Iran. Their team trying to battle back from behind. Ibanipur with a right-hand rocket from the baseline gets them level, having trailed by 4. They have wasted little time in putting together this comeback here in set 2. Goes Kaikei, and in comes João Simoes. One 33-year-old wing spiker replacing another. Portugal back ahead just. Iran a completely different animal now to deal with Amir Ghafour on the floor. Can Portugal figure out a way of dealing with that huge threat? Well, Harrod nails that one down to the deck. Fans on their feet. Iran back level again. And now we're ahead off the ace. Simoes had only just come into the game. Looked ring rusty on that serve reception. Aliasgar Mohamed coming up with some big plays. There's a challenge, presumably it would be for a foot fault on this serve. The challenge from Portugal may just be, well, look at that. There is indeed a service line fault. So that will be a Portuguese point, and what a good call from him to challenge what looked like a perfectly good ace. Was very tight, one of those really had to clip my toenails calls. Portugal up 12-11 here in set two, having taken the first set to shock Iran. Well, it's Ferreira long. Huge celebrations just for the overhit Portuguese serve. You can sense the feeling of doubt and frustration and disappointment all around this arena. You can also now start to sense the optimism. There seems to be a belief that a comeback is on the cards, but Portugal are doing their best to hold it off. Maruf back set, attack far side. Surely they can't catch up with that one. 13-13. Amir Ghafour is certainly playing his part now, having come in. So difficult to stop when he gets an opportunity against an isolated blocker and a chance to run at it. Maruf, the man who provides and facilitates in those moments. Recovered by Gil Pereira, far side, the joust. Maruf on top, another joust. Iran are really battling to try and get themselves ahead. So too Portugal, the third joust of a rally over the top. Incredible rally this. Gil Pereira with the save, backside, kept alive on the opposite side of the net. Tremendous stuff, a chance to finish it for Iran here, and they do. They put the exclamation mark on a wonderful mega rally. It all started with the Perye Fayazi serve. This might take a while in slow motion. So many incredible moments. That was joust number one, Maruf coming out on top. Joust number two, Portugal coming out on top with Filip Svetkinin. And joust number three, it was Maruf there again, the captain setting the tone for Iran. And what about this for a save? Over the midway point by João Simoes, but it allowed Iran to get on top in the rally. And Ali Shafai finished it. And what a turning point that could be in this match overall. Iran following it up with a big, big ace. Pia Feyazi. And this building is shaking again. Great save. Maroof overhead into the net though by Ibanipur. Portugal not allowing Iran to make it to the timeout just yet. 4 touches called on the Iranian side of the court. So it's a Portuguese point. They're back within 1. Bruno Cunha to serve. Oh, Maroof couldn't reach it. Portugal do instead. And they're level, 15-15. They just refuse to go away, despite the very best efforts of Iran to turn the tide in their favour. Portugal keep adapting, keep responding. Maroof, he was looking the wrong way for a moment. And it's a Portuguese point, although Amir Ghafour will call for a challenge straight away because Iran are absolutely convinced that it's got a touch off one of the Portuguese players on its way through. He was in no doubt whatsoever, Ghafour, who's got a couple of points since coming in off the bench earlier in this set. Has he got a third? Well, the call in fact was as to whether the ball was in or out, and it certainly was in. I thought it was for a block touch there, but instead it was the ball landing in right in the back corner. And Iran leads 16-15 at the technical timeout of set 2. And this second set has already gone on for 20 minutes. At the second technical timeout, they've had one of the rallies, if not the rally of the tournament so far. These fans are certainly getting their money's worth. Starting to get what they want in terms of the competitive element from their team, getting back ahead, but only just 16-15. They've had to turn to their main man, Amir Ghafour, who's come in to score 3 points off the bench. They are still having a tough time putting Portugal away. Now they're up by 2 off the big double block far side. Maroof playing such a key role. It's the setter's second stuff block of the match. In fact, make it his third. A delay for Ali Shafai taking this serve. A run up 17-15. He'll get the go-ahead now. Tandem attack, far side, coming in to score, Marco Ferreira. Valdir Sequeira, rather. Squeezing between 2 defenders. The oldest and most experienced player on the Portuguese roster, 37 years old, a phenomenal 276 caps. To bounce off the block, around back ahead by 2. Amir Ghafour has 4. Sure, Iran wouldn't have wanted to have brought Amir Ghafour in at the second set, maybe even not at all tonight. They've had to. Times of desperation. Portugal back within 1. Alex Ferreira, the captain. 7 points for him now, just behind Bruno Cunha and Kaike, who each have 8. Philip Svetkinin serving into the net. And slowly but surely getting closer and closer. His team can't quite find a way to get back level. Baddy Porter serve for Iran. Big serve as well. Dealt with by Simoes just about against the block. Sequeira across to the far side and squeezed in by the captain again, Alex Ferreira. 7 for him now. Neither team can win a point on their own serve at this moment. Portugal will try and change that. Ferreira just finding the smallest of gaps. The Iranians very close together. That serve off the playing surface. Thiago Violos come in. Sequeira goes to the bench now with Miguel Tavares coming in as well. It's changes for both teams. Out goes Mohamed for Iran. Fahed Gayami, who has the second biggest spike reach on the Iranian roster, is in. Straight away on serve. And that's a gift for Ghafour. 5 points now for Amir Ghafour, all of them here since coming in off the bench in this second set. Absolutely no chance of stopping that one. Nobody in a good defensive position. The Iranian flag has been flying high at this tournament so far. Top of the standings, just ahead of Brazil on sets won percentage, and with an 8-1 record to match the world #1. They're not just trying to get to the final 6 in Chicago. They have aspirations of getting to the podium, maybe the very top of the podium. But here they are being given a real test by Portugal. Several errors on serve at the moment, taking Iran closer and closer. Set far side, score for Simoes. Portugal not giving up hope on this second set just yet. First to 25, so Iran are 3 points away, Portugal 2 points behind. Felipe Martins to serve. Into the net from Amir Ghafour. His first attack hit error. Portugal back within one. Philippe Martins remains on serve as they try to get level. The batty ball wide of the mark. Portugal are level from 3 down. Iran overturned a 4-point deficit to get up by 3 in this second set. Portugal now have come from behind, and both teams are just 3 points away. Martins looking to continue the run on serve that has got Portugal level from 3 down. Maroof across to this near side. Player Feyazi fires it to the backcourt. Iran back ahead. Emotions running high here in Ardabil. Feyazi to serve. And Portugal to respond. Filip Svetkinen towering over the top of the net. 23-23. Svetkinen getting plenty of hang time. Bruno Cunha back to Abadipour, who does so well to deal with it. Portugal trying to save it beyond the baseline, has to be helped up into the lights. Far side, big chance to set. Maroof puts it on a plate for Shafai. Iran have set point in set 2. Portugal battling all the way back beyond the baseline to try and stay alive in the rally, but to no avail in the end. Can Iran level the match? Against the block and out of bounds. Instead, Portugal level the set. 24-24. And now we go beyond the 25-point mark. João Simoes had no room for error. There's very little room for error now on serve, the number 9. Maroof can set. The hit through, helped up off the floor. Alex Ferreira overhead, tipped over the top. They have to brace themselves. A game was that long. It was. No touch along the way. It's another attack hit error for Iran. And Portugal have a set point now. They may well challenge Iran. They are going to, presumably for a block touch. But the expression on the faces of the Iranian players would lead you to believe that there was no touch. It looked like pure disappointment that they had blown the opportunity. And there you go, confirmation of that. Portuguese point, Portuguese set point. A timeout called by Iran. What an opportunity for Portugal to take a 2 sets lead over the standings leaders. Iran 24, Portugal 25. Iran have had their set point and not taken it. Portugal have theirs. Far side, off the block, score for Iran, level again. And the block in the way. Mo Harrid, a man mounted at the net. He dived across to his right, got his right hand to it. And here is the set point for Iran. And they've taken it. But boy, did they have to work for it. Iran survive a set point that would have seen them 2 sets down. And they come back to win the second and to tie the match at 1-1 to the delight of this sellout crowd. In a time of 34 minutes, Iran take the second set 27-25, and we now go to a pivotal third here in Ardabil. A 27-25 second set to Iran. They survived facing a set point for Portugal. They came back and won it right at the end, emphatically with some really good front court defense. 3 more points on spike, and crucially there, including those big plays towards the end, 5 more points from blocks, 1 extra on serve, surviving the fact that they gave Portugal almost half of Portugal's points on errors. Ran with several attack hit errors, very uncharacteristic. And that's a huge tally, 12 points to the opposition on errors from Iran. But they survive, and now they will have to try and put things right here in the third set. Whoever wins this set puts themselves in a position not just to try and go on and win the match, but also to try and claim maximum points for the standings. It's 3 points to the team who wins in 3 or 4 sets, but only 2 points for a team who wins in 5 sets. Whoever loses this set, of course, has to try and come from behind to force a 5th. Miguel Tavares will take the first serve of the third set here for Portugal. And he lands an ace. What a way to get them feeling good again after the disappointment of that second set. That is a huge part of this as well, the character and the mentality of Portugal to try and respond now, having got so close. And boy, have they responded. They've scored the first 2 points of the third set. Miguel Tavares to serve. Once again, can they survive this time? Iran, no they can't. 3 in a row on the serve of Miguel Tavares at the start of the third set for Portugal. A few heads hanging for Iran. We haven't seen that much in this tournament. Maruf will go again, take 2. This time stopped by the front line of the Portuguese defence. Third time lucky perhaps. Gafour tipping it out of bounds as he went to try and play it off the outside of the block. Iran are struggling once again. Every time it looks like they've turned things around, Portugal find a way to figure things out again. This is about as sloppy, about as error-strewn as we've seen Iran at any point in this competition. Can Portugal take advantage? They continue to hit around where it hurts. Alex Ferreira. The serve reception, the pass back from the serve towards the net was too high for Maruf. Tried to confuse Portugal by going for the ball and pulling out. Portugal were having none of it. That time the conventional set from Maruf to the far side. Saw the ball jam inside of the Portuguese block and Iran on the board. It's taken long enough. That one squeezes inside of the Iranian block from Bruno Cunha. He becomes the first player in the match to hit double figures, 10 points nil. 2 ahead of Alex Ferreira and Kaike for Portugal. Different players stepping up at different moments. It was Kaike in the first set, taken over by Bruno Cunha in the second, and he's got going again here in the third. Alex Ferreira has been pretty consistent, scoring a point here and there throughout. Maruf putting it up, and Shafai burying it. He's one of 3 Iranian players on 7 points now, along with Yali and Gafour. Yali, who played a lot in the first set. Gafour, who only came in towards the start of the second. And the block across to the far side. Ibadipor with the stuff. Iran have finally found their feet here in set 3. Gafour on serve. A rocket as well, but really well dealt with. Although Iran will come out on top and get the score. At least that's what the first referee was saying. The second referee telling a different story, I think. Iran back within 2 at 4-6. That is not the correct score at the bottom of your picture, even though we've got the challenge showing there for Portugal. I believe it's 4-6. Portugal trying to change this point, which would make it 3-7. There is a net touch on the block, so I believe that is 7-3 Portugal now. It all depends as well on which action happened first, because yes, you're seeing quite clearly there a net touch, but was the ball dead when that occurred? And that is why we're having, I think, a prolonged delay here on this point. Portugal desperately trying to hold off an Iranian comeback, having opened up a huge lead at the start of this third set, scoring each of the first 5 points. Roof really not happy. The Iranian captain in a heated conversation with the first referee. It is going to be a Portuguese point, despite those protests. And that does indeed make it a 7-3 lead. Confirmation of that now. Tips into the block. And then again, Shafai in the way, not once but twice. This time Maroof. And Maroof and Shafai together. They couldn't do it on their own. They grouped together. And have they got the point? It's another contentious one. The question surely is whether the ball was in or out here. It's been given to Iran to close the gap to 3, but Portugal are challenging. Roof is cutting a frustrated figure right now. The ball was in. It's going to be an Iranian score. See here that the Portuguese players are asking, I think, for a punishment to be given to one of the Iranian players. But it is significantly an Iranian point. It might well be a yellow card, in fact, for the Portuguese captain, Alex Ferreira, in the end. And indeed it is. And that's not going to help, is it? In danger of further punishment. It's all got very edgy, very heated, rather contentious, and in all honesty, rather entertaining. It's a red card. Alex Ferreira, the captain, He continues to sarcastically applaud the first referee. He's not happy at all with some of the decision making, but he has gone over the line in trying to state his case to the official, and certainly hasn't gone about it in the right way. Take a seat, Alex Ferreira. Well, it's a match that's already had a bit of everything. The red card brings a point and a serve for Iran. Although the serve into the net sees Portugal into the technical timeout with a 3-point lead. So 8-5 Portugal in the third set, 1 set each in the match. And emotions running high all around this arena, on the benches and down on court. Bruno Cunha's serve for Portugal. Maruf with a set from the 3-metre line into the Portuguese block, which carries the ball out of bounds. Around back within 2. Just to confirm, if you're new to the sport, the red card for Alex Ferreira does not mean he is out of the match. That was a point for Iran and a serve for Iran. If he's later shown a red and a yellow card together, then that would be expulsion for the rest of the set. Down the line, the line drive lands and Portugal remain up by 3. Bruno Cunha just trying to keep Iran at arm's length. It's another stoppage, perhaps another challenge. Indeed it is. Challenge from Iran. The way this is going, it could be one of the longest sets in the tournament. Challenges for the attack line fault there. There you go, we're more centred on the significant foot, which does seem to be ever so close to the line. And the attack line fault has been called. Minute margins. Portugal understandably upset. It's an Iranian point. What a way to respond to that disappointment. Filip Svetkinin. The lead had been cut to 1. Portugal back up by 2. 15 minutes into this third set already. Ibanipur across court, but wide of the court. You have to give Portugal great credit, but there are a number of Iranian hitters who are not striking the ball with the same kind of accuracy they have done through the competition so far. Maruf far side, Ibanipur. That's what he's used to doing. Pushed over from the backcourt into an open spot on the floor. Bruno Cunha up to 11 points to lead all scorers. The 21-year-old is starting to really make his presence felt here. To grow into the match, it was all Kaike in the first set. Ran back within two, with the serve into the net. Miladi Badipur on serve for Iran is their joint top scorer on 8 points. One of those has come on serve. And there's another. Well, they're saying that was in. I thought it was in before it hit the shins of the Portuguese player. The initial call from the official is that the ball was out beyond the baseline. This would be a big point. There you go, it was right back onto the line. A fantastic serve. Pinpoint precision. Bruno Cunha tried to hurdle it, didn't matter that it touched him in the end. This one off the top of the net and returned with interest. Portugal up 12-10. As hotly contested as this one has been, it's going to heat up even more the longer this third set stays close. Maruf, Gafour, trademark combination for Iran. Gafour with 8 points now. Harid to serve. And the block in the way at the centre. Portugal didn't really move the ball on offence. Felipe Martins shut down. It was a static hit. The blockers didn't have to shuffle their feet even. They were just there in the right spot and had to just rise and lean slightly. Up into the air by Gafour. Maruf back to Gafour. Over the top by Martins. Far side, Fayazi, body shot delivered by Iran. They'll come again. Maruf, they reload and they fire. Iran ahead here in set 3. Portugal's fire put out. Double figures for Ali Shafai now to lead the way for Iran. And the ace as well for Ali Asghar Moharid. And that was a long way inside the baseline. A bit of confusion between Gil Pereira and Alex Ferreira as to who was going to go for it. They both left it. And this building is bouncing. Timeout called by Portugal. carried on serve still. Iran looking to continue their run. Instead, it comes to an end. Portugal back within one. Alex Ferreira, the fueled-up captain. And into the net, back-to-back errors on serve. And 1 point away from the technical timeout. Four. He's come in and scored 8 points off the bench. Yet to register one on serve. Far side over the top of the block, no touch though. On the hit from Bruno Cunha. Iran into the second technical timeout of the third set with a 3-point lead over Portugal. Iran in the midst of a 15-7 run. They trail by 5 points at 6-1. They lead now by 3 at 16-13. They know with each and every win, they get a giant step closer towards the final six. And their big goal of competing in Chicago. Portugal know with each and every point, they give themselves a chance of at least taking a point in the standings, which, when it's all said and done, might be enough to keep them ahead of Australia and safe in the competition for another year. Four inside of the block for the score. Match tallies of 16, 28 and 17 in the 3 wins on home soil in Urmia last weekend. Four is up to 9 points here. Volleyball just getting it over. Backcourt attack, Fayazi. Score for Iran again. They've turned a 5-point deficit into a 4-point lead. Nod of approval from coach Kolakovic. The signs of approval are a bit more apparent all around this arena from the thousands of fans in attendance. Big serve as well from Fayazi. Dealt with well by Portugal. Svetkinin stopped though. Ibanipur off the block. Good pass back off the baseline. Portugal trying to turn the tide back in their favour in this rally, but that's out of bounds off a Portuguese touch. A shake of the head from Coach Silva. Iran are racing away here in the third set. The 4th point for Maruf. Timeout called by Portugal. surely Portugal can't come back from this deficit at this stage of the third set. With Iran now in this kind of mood. Smiles on faces again. Clever touch, Ibadipour, stretching every fibre of his fingertips to get there. And he produced the right direction as well. And found the right spot on the floor. 6 points, the Iranian lead. What a turnaround they've produced now, an 11-point swing. From 5 down to 6 up. Fayazi halts the momentum by hammering the ball over the baseline. Still plenty of breathing room for Iran here, up by 5. Fahed Gayami will come in. Maruf setting right on top of the net. Recovered over the far side of the floor. They're short-handed on defence. Portugal quickly back into position, bracing themselves for this attack. They can set here for the rejuvenated Kaike, who's had a good rest. Kaike Ferreira. And he comes in to land his 9th point. Portugal back within 4. Back set Maruf, Gafour hammering against the defensive door and smashing it out of bounds. Gafour, one of 3 players to hit double figures for Iran, along with Shafai and Ibadipour, all on 10. Maruf trying to score himself. Portugal were on guard. Maruf comes again, determined to score the point, the captain. 5 for Saeed Maruf. Iran only 3 points away from taking the third set. Really have spread their points around Iran so far. 5 for the setter now. 3 in double figures. Another 3 who could quite feasibly hit that mark. Portuguese point for Sequeira. Valdir Sequeira in and firing. Okay, Ferreira da Silva to serve. Maruf back set, big run up for Gafour, able to generate too much power. And he now leads the way of all of those Iranian scorers on 11. He's tied level with Bruno Cunha as the leading scorer in this match, despite only coming in the second set. And Iran are rampant right now, up by 7 off the big block. Aliasgar Moharid, 8 points for him, and a whole heap of set points for Iran. May actually have been Milad Ibanipor who was alongside Moharad, who got his hands to that one. And that'll do it. A huge block on one side, a huge block on the other. This time Gafour and Moharad alongside each other. Portugal not finding any way through and not able to generate any momentum now. From a 5-point deficit, Iran come back to win the third set by 8 points. And these fans on their feet again, and their team back up on their feet again. They lead Portugal by 2-1. A 25-17 third set for Iran in a time of 32 minutes. It's a fantastic atmosphere at this arena in Ardabil, Iran. The hosts have come from behind to lead by 2-1. And they came from behind to win that third set impressively after a terrible start, a fantastic finish. 25-17. Having taken the second set 27-25 and having lost the first 23-25. Now it's Portugal who have to come back and respond. If they're to take anything from this one, they need to win the next set to force a fifth and give themselves the chance of 1 or 2 points in the standings. If they're to lose this, then they move on empty-handed in their fight for survival. Got what they wanted earlier on this court. France winning in straight sets against Australia. Australia, the team of the 4 challenger teams below them at the moment. The lowest ranking of those 4 teams will be relegated from the competition. It would be a huge boost for Portugal, even just to lose in 5 sets here, which would give them 1 point in the standings and open up a little bit more room over Australia. And the flip side of that, of course, is Iran are desperate for all 3 points, which they would get by winning this match in 4 sets. They concede the first point of set 4 as Ibanipor fires his serve into the net. You would expect Iran to be there at the final 6 in Chicago from their position now 8-1, top of the standings, but not counting their chickens just yet. They're desperate for each and every win, each and every point. Iran are 3 wins ahead of Poland at the moment, with 6 matches to go, including this one. All in the team who are just outside those final 6 positions, who are desperate to make up ground. Towering leap over the top of the net there from Nuno Teixeira. 20-year-old middle blocker who's coming off the bench. He is by far and away the tallest player on the Portuguese roster. And right back at Portugal through Feyazi. Attack far side, and a really good hit from Lorenzo Martins, another substitute. 22-year-old wing spiker. Portugal turning to their bench to try and force that 5th set. Nuno on serve now stands at 2.14 meters. The serve is too long. So the first 6 points, nothing to separate these two yet. In the 4th set, Nuno goes to the bench. Roof across to the near side, fired all the way through. Ibanipor up to 12 points to tie level with Gafour. Perya Feyazi serving. Iran up 4-3. Rasper of a right hand delivered by Feyazi, but boy did Portugal do well to deal with it. They got it into a really good position. Portugal dealt with the power and then miscalculated the line drive. Iran leading 5-3. Feyazi remains on serve. That time the attack gets so quick that the blocker on the far side wasn't given the opportunity to penetrate the net. By that I mean get arms across the net and angled down to the playing surface, which deflects the ball in the right direction. Instead it was deflected beyond the baseline and out of bounds, so it's a Portuguese point back within 1. Wasn't far away, but just flew out of the court. So we ran up 6-4. Ali Shafai to serve. 71 points coming in over the first 3 weeks of competition. He's got 10 to add to that tally here. No more on that serve though. Bruno Cunha prodding over the block. He's up to 12 points to lead Portugal. Put the block on the way down and did really well to get it right in behind them and in front of the backcourt cover. And a fantastic serve as well to tie Portugal level. 6-6. Lorenzo Martins coming in off the bench and making his presence felt. Can't repeat the trick though on the next serve. Around 1 point away from the technical timeout with the 1 point lead. Looks like he's itching to have a word with his team. Saeed Marouf on serve, looking to take them there. A clever finish though from Thiago Violas, the substitute setter. 7-7. And just weren't expecting it. And the serve just wide of that sideline, so Iran do have the edge at the technical timeout, but only just 8-7 here in set 4. It does seem as though Portugal have recovered after that horrible end to the third set. They've got a foothold certainly in this fourth set. Only down by 1. And giving him and his team plenty to think about still. Batipur to serve for Iran. There's 2 aces already. It's a powerful, purposeful hit from Kike Ferreira da Silva. 12 points now, 11 of them coming off attack hits. Thiago Violas. And there's a stoppage here for an injury. Looks to be in some considerable pain. Bruno Cunha, and what a blow that would be for Portugal. This is their joint top scorer down hurt here. 12 points so far. Collided with his own teammate Nuno Teixeira. Seems to be the ankle that's bothering him. Ten of his 12 points coming from attack hits, 2 points on serve as well. Might be no chance of returning for Bruno Cunha in this one. Might be no chance of returning. It's bad enough over the course of the weekend. He's performed so well. Portugal will have a huge matchup against Australia here in Ardabil. It could decide who gets relegated when it's all said and done. I want him fit for that one. Fayazi puts Iran back ahead. Down with authority. So Iran 9-8 up. The officials have a bit of sorting out to do before the next serve. Last point taking Fayazi to 9. So he's within touching distance of becoming the 4th Iranian player to hit double figures. Portugal have 2. One of them is injured. Just looking ahead to those other matches that are to come over the course of this weekend. Tomorrow it's France against Portugal, followed by Iran, Australia, and then the big ones come really on Sunday. Portugal, Australia, which is crucial for survival in the competition. And then Iran taking on France, which is potentially crucial for who will make the final 6. Portugal are doing a really good job here of staying in set 4, back level 9-9. The point for Sequeira. Fayazi against the triple block. Double block far side, now shifts into position. He had a touch on it from one of those 2 blockers. Iran point. 10-9 the lead. Nuno Teixeira, the tower at the net for Portugal. Getting a piece of it. Couldn't deflect it back the right direction though. And then the Iranian block showing them how it's done. Maruf again. And that would be stuff block number 4 for the setter, Saeed Maruf. Was it his final touch? It looks like it. Gafour to serve. 13 points to lead Iran. Really good serve as well. Dealt with admirably by Portugal and returned by Lorenzo Martins. That was a big serve reception. Had they not dealt with the serve of Amir Gafour, it would have opened up a 3-point Iran lead. Nuno Teixeira to serve for Portugal. Dropped it over the net just. Fayazi gets it to stick off the top of the block. Double figures for 4 Iranian players now. Fayazi with the serve, firing it back to the baseline. Sequeira has to help it over. Here come Iran, big hit down by Shafai. He's one of those. Now double figures, 11 now for Shafai. Tough to take for Coach Silver and co. Leading by 3, 13-10. Looking to put this one away in 4 sets. Mexican wave circling around this arena now. Started out as a party atmosphere. Got a bit nervy, a bit edgy, a bit fiery. And now these fans feeling a bit freer again. Feeling certainly more optimistic with the position their team find themselves in. A Badipur high into the lights off the block. Maruf set, pipe bomb delivered by Perye Fayazi. Iran by 4 and opening up a gap here in set 4. Portugal answering back with Lorenzo Martins. Talk about the fixtures, the big fixtures for all of the teams here in Ardabil on Sunday. The two head coaches here tonight will want players as well rested as possible for those big matches on Sunday. And of course they've got to try and get the win here as well. It's a fine balancing act, trying to get the right rotation, the right combination of players on court, the right minutes, the right responsibilities. And of course for Portugal, with Bruno Cunha hurting his ankle as well, they may want to protect others. That will absolutely be necessary for that big showdown on Sunday. Just wide of the mark. Portuguese point. 3 points the gap. Nervy moment watching the ball land. Portugal get the outcome they wanted on that occasion. Lorenzo Martins on serve as they try to close the gap a bit more. Instead, Iran into the technical timeout with a 4-point lead and closing in on victory here in the 4th set. Expect plenty of fantastic scenes and fantastic matches through the course of the weekend here. This place will be packed each and every night, I'm sure. And hoping to celebrate yet another Iran win. Iran looking to match their longest ever winning streak in the competition of 6 straight victories. Would be their longest overall in one tournament. The previous 6-game streak stretched between the end of last year's tournament and the start of this. Not there yet. Still plenty of work to do. Sequeira getting one back for Portugal. Iran back up by 4. On the other side of that, might only be their first year in the competition, but Portugal trying to avoid equaling their longest Nations League losing streak, which was 3 matches set earlier in the tournament against Russia, Italy and the USA. Portuguese point that time, it just waterfalls inside of the Iranian block. quite tight enough to the net. Maruf back set tipped over the top of Kaike, who was on his way down. Maruf with the running set, creating the isolated attack-hit opportunity, and tough for Kaike to hang in the air with his diminutive frame. Well, they kept it up off a big double block from Iran. Pushed over the top by Gafour, recovered in the backcourt by Gil Pereira. Far side coming in was Sequeira to score down the line. Portugal determined to hang in there. Before winning 11 of their last 12 Nations League matches, Iran had won just 4 out of 12 in this competition. Shows how much this Iranian team is in the ascendancy. And threatening to reach its prime. You have to give huge credit to Portugal for taking them this far even. For forcing them to bring Amir Gafour off the bench in only the second set. Four points the Iranian lead again. Kaike and Simoes changing places. 4 on serve, 14 points to lead Iran, having come on in the second set. Fayazi and Ibadipour have 13 each, Shafai has 11. Did that get a touch? Well, first referee says no. Portugal were convinced that there was a touch. There was 2 potential players who could have touched it. Challenge seems to be here on the Portuguese bench for a block touch, with the point initially awarded to Iran. It would be a 5-point Iranian lead at 20-15. Is that a challenge in hope or expectancy? A few of those Portuguese players seemed convinced. They were wrong to be. No block touch. A 5-point Iran lead. Set to the far side, a towering takeoff from Lorenzo Martins. Got up high and hammered it down low. There's certainly some talented young hitters in the Portuguese ranks. Past the block, no touch. Although Iran might choose to challenge this one. Perya Fayazi appealing. It's hard to see a touch on first viewing. It's back-to-back points for Portugal. They've closed a 5-point deficit down to 3. And number 3, Nuno Teixeira on the baseline. Good serve as well. His best of the match so far. Returned with interest though. Packing a punch from the far side, Amir Gafour. Iran 4 up and only 4 away. As Gafour hits 15. Good diving save from Perya Fayazi. A chance to get on top of the rally now for Iran. Maruf setting backcourt hit. Fayazi fires it so hard. It ricochets off into the front row. And it was Fayazi that started it all with the defensive stop as well. Those Portuguese players look done and dusted. What a serve from Perya Fayazi as well. He's behind it again. Ibadipor to touch it. Iran are racing away here in the fourth. Just as they did in the third at the end. They've gone up a gear. 23-17, 2 points away. Perya Fayazi sparking this latest run. And there's another. Portugal can't stop the bleeding. They won the third set 25-17. Can they win the fourth set 25-17? To wait as Perya Fayazi into the net. There's no room for error whatsoever on serve for Valdir Sequeira. The Red Tops' Iranian run continues. 6 straight wins here in the Nations League. 8 straight wins in major world level competitions on home soil from the standings leaders and the standard setters in this year's competition. They had to do this one the hard way, coming back from behind. A really disappointing start, losing the first set 23-25. They won a monster second set 27-25, surviving a Portuguese set point. And then in the third and the fourth, they turned it up a notch or two. They got it together and they showed what they have been showing throughout the course of this campaign. 25-17 in the third, 25-18 in the fourth, 3-1 to Iran, a maximum point haul, and a huge step closer towards punching their ticket officially to the final 6 in Chicago next month. And they do it in front of a fantastic crowd in Ardabil here this evening. They had to unleash their main weapon off the bench in the form of Amir Ghafour, and he led the way with 15 points, the highest of 4 double-digit scorers. Ibadipor and Fayazi each had 14, Shafai had 12. Portugal put a great deal in, but in the end leave with nothing. They were led by the 14 of Kaike, 12 for Bruno Cunha, although he was injured in that fourth set. We hope that he will be able to return tomorrow. Iran moved to 9-1 over the first 10 matches by winning this one by 3 sets to 1.